Hello and welcome back to the 410. My name is Aiden, your host, and we're back here on a Monday here. Big show for you today. I'm sorry, I'm a little hoarse. Down at the stadium all last week, rooting on the O's. We're going to talk about them for sure. We got to get into the NFL a little bit here. The Ravens, they definitely made a nice addition to the defense. We're going to talk about that. And then, of course, the NBA Finals are set. We had the Western Conference, Eastern Conference, Finals on deck. You know we got to get into that and talk about all of the action that led up to it. Before we get into that, K-Hill Electrical on standby for any electrical needs, whether they're big, small, you let them know exactly what you need. They're on the way with the best service and best price in town. All right, Baltimore Orioles. You already know, y'all know exactly who the 410 is now. If you didn't know before, you know now. I was down there behind the dugout, giving them all I had, letting them know exactly how I felt about them, which they know I love them, but they also know that I definitely want to see a change. And that's what I was vouching for down there, and that's exactly what happened. And I told you the 410 was going to go down there and get to the bottom of the situation, and we're going to make a change. And that's exactly what we did. Now, am I saying I had something to do with that? No, I don't make that kind of decision down there at the stadium. But I'll tell you what, I started enough action down there where they definitely were paying attention to what was going on in the stands. I can tell you that. And for all of y'all that were down there with me, you already know. You say, oh no, he ain't lying. He was letting them know how he feel. And that's how we getting down here at the 410. I told you, there's no way I was going to stand by and let my boys in this city sit here and go out like that for the rest of the year. And I ain't down there trying to let them know this ain't how we going to get down. Well, today's game here, we play the Brewers. We got to get out of town here because we were getting our head knocked in all week down there at the stadium. I'm talking to a gentleman next to me. He said, man, do you see the cloud over here? And it was a sunny day. And I said, I don't see the cloud today, man. It was cloudy yesterday. But he said, no, not that cloud. This is the darkest cloud I ever seen over this team. And I said, man, you ain't lying about that. I've never seen them acting like this before. So I'm hoping that this getting out of town here today is going to get them together. We got a new coach here, even though he was already on the staff. Hey, whatever Brandon Hyde had going on, we moving on from that. We got to get it together, fellas. We're not out of the season yet. I mean, we still definitely have a chance to pull it together here. We have all of the talent. Now, I'm definitely going to talk about the talent that we have down there, which is why I know for a fact that for whatever reason, they didn't want Mr. Hyde around anymore because I'm watching the talent daily down there, and we have it. It's just who has the motivation that day to bring it is really what I'm seeing here. Of course, today I'm gonna go down the line here. What I've been seeing. Like I said, I was down there in person, so I don't need to see the TV. I don't need the analysts to tell me what happened and all this kind of stuff here. I know exactly what happened. And let me tell you what I saw. Jackson Holiday, young star, definitely on the up and coming here. I seen him getting busy. I also seen him make a few mistakes, but once again, he's a young dude, and I can take that from him. Ryan Mountcastle, he's on first there. I saw him make a couple great defensive plays. I'm not all the way writing him out. I know he's probably going to be the first person they talking about trading, and you know what? The way everybody been performing down there, it's nobody down there that's safe. I'm here to tell you. All the way to Gunner now, and that's my man, but I'm trying to tell you, nobody is safe. We were just talking about Gunner. Of course, we're not getting rid of Gunner. I'm just trying to spark a little fire up a Gunner. You know already how I feel about you, Gunner. Those MVP champs, they coming from right here. You know what it is, MVP Gunner. Right here on the 410. I let them all know how I feel about you, Gunner. I want you to keep striving to get better here. We know you were hurt early in the year, and you've definitely been bringing the thunder here lately. I need you to continue and show these guys exactly what's up there, Gunner. Next up is Mr. Ramon Laureano. Of course, I'm loving him. He definitely showed me that passion, that fire that I love here at the 410. He bounced that helmet off the diamond. It went somewhere in the first row, and I appreciated that. Even though he had to leave the game, hey, he let everybody know he was caring, he was passionate about that situation, and he wasn't ready to go out like that. And that's what we need, and we got him back and clean up today. And I guess that's no surprise the way he was fired up the other day. So I want him to continue to play with that same fire. I love that there. Ryan O'Hearn, of course, he's had an up and down season here. He's been bringing it some days. He's been hitting us some long balls there, but we need him to step it up there. Of course, he's been batting a little bit better here lately, 300. I think he can get it up to about 330. I know that's shooting for the moon there, but come on, Ryan. You know I got you. I want to see you do good down there. I think he's safe. Out of everybody else, I think Ryan definitely is going to be safe there on the roster here. You got Ramon Urias here. Definitely another guy that's been getting on base. He's not going to hit you a whole bunch of home runs, which I'm cool with that. We need a little bit of small ball going on down there. Everybody don't need to swing for the fences. And that's what I was saying down there. Let's get some people on base. Me and my father were talking about this. Let's get them on base. Let's jumble the game up a little bit. Let's get some people stealing the base. Let's at least act like we're trying to steal the base. And let's keep them guessing on what we're going to do. We need to muck these games up a little bit. No way we can just sit down there and just play a straightforward backyard baseball game. We're not going to do anything but just throw the ball and see if we can hit it over the wall. That's not how we can do it here in Baltimore. We got to get in there and we got to play some baseball here. Next up, of course, is Cedric Mullins. We on board with Said all day long. You hear me all day long hollering Said, knock it to the warehouse. That's how I feel about Said and that power that he displays most of the time. We got to keep Said on the team. He's the veteran leadership that we need on this team with all of these young players. No way we can ship the veteran off, the one that's leading the charge here, anywhere. So all of that talk about trading him, we can get this and that and third. Man, don't say that around me is all I'm going to tell you. Next up is going to be Mr. Carson. He's going to be subbing in at left field. He's yet to get a hit this year. We want him to get a hit tonight. So we're taking Mr. Carson to get a hit for sure. I might throw that on my parlay. I think that's going to pay out really well. Come on now. Get a job done here, man. You got to get on the board here for the year, Mr. Carson. And last but not least, let me tell y'all a little story about my boy, Maverick Henley. Maverick Henley is the first player to officially sign the Baltimore 410 t-shirts here, y'all. He signed my baby girl t-shirt. He signed my baby boy 410 shirt. I was down there on the field. No cap. It was definitely him. And I'm definitely a #1 fan, Maverick Henley. I know we got Adley Rushman down there, but I talked to Maverick. I looked him right in his eye. And Maverick, you ever see this, go ahead and laugh because you're going to say, yeah, man, that's exactly what that man said. I said, Maverick, look down at the shirt. He looked down at the shirt. He saw it was the 410. I said, you see this right here? I said, you go back there and you tell all of them guys back there that the whole 410 is behind them. We need them to tighten up, get the job done for us. We rooting for them all day long, and we love them. And that's exactly what I told that man right in his eyes. He looked me back in my eyes, and he said he was going in there to deliver the message. So I'm grateful for Maverick for becoming the first honorary member here of the Baltimore Orioles on the 410, and I'm going to be rooting for him as hard as you can imagine here. Go Maverick all day long. I know we got Adley in the fold, but Maverick, we got to get him some playing time, y'all. That's a real one there. Of course, we got Dean Krim on the mound. Dean, I sat there and watched him the other day. He definitely pitched a little bit better than what he had been pitching early in the season. Maybe he's settling in. So that's what we need there on the mound. There's some stability there because, my goodness, we being rocked the last couple of days. We got rocked so hard the other day, we told the man, don't even put your uniform on. Yes, Mr. Kyle Gibson, do not put your uniform on for the game. We're going to move on from you. We'll see you later. Throw the keys right there. We'll holler at you. That's how bad it was over there. I'm telling you, y'all, Orioles, we're making some changes, y'all. Don't be surprised if you see some more stuff happening here in the next couple of days. All right, let's get off the Orioles. Let's get on to the Ravens for just a second here. Of course, they signed Mr. John Jenkins there. Last piece to the puzzle there on defense. That defensive lineman that we lost, Mr. Michael Pierce, retired. So we had that big hole figure out there, And, of course, we had to figure it out with somebody that's going to be reliable and somebody that's been there for his team for the last few years, like Mr. Jenkins. He's definitely played all the games for the Oakland Raiders, even though it hadn't been meaningful games. He's been there, and that's what we need him to do. We need him to be there, be right there in the middle. When whoever comes up there, we don't need him to get to the quarterback. Those guys behind him, they're going to take care of that business. But we need him to be there and be there all day long for us, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Of course, we mentioned the other day, Derrick Henry, big extension. So all day long, he's looking at eyeing 2, 3, 4, 5 year run, and that's what I'm saying. I don't see anything wrong with us going on a 2, 3, 4, 5 run. We got the personnel to do it. We got the money to do it. Let's get it done. All we got to do is execute when the time comes. And now let's get into that schedule real quick before we move on to the NBA. We got to play Buffalo the first week, and I don't care when we play Buffalo. I wanted to play them in the first week. We just lost to them the last game of the season. Why wouldn't we want to play them? That's the only person I've been thinking about all year is Josh Allen and all of the antics that they were putting on through the Super Bowl. Yeah, excuse me. in the playoff. And definitely, I'm thinking about a Super Bowl. You see what I'm talking about here. But definitely, that's who I want to see. And we see Kansas City in week 4. Of course, they got Keziah Izzard. I told y'all to pick Keziah Izzard up. But I already knew somebody was going to snatch him up. I don't know why we didn't pick him up. Hopefully he isn't playing. He, of course, is a beast. And I told them he was a beast. I don't know what they weren't paying attention to the 4-1-0 for. But that's okay. We played them in week 4. Of course, we played Detroit. We played the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if Shador is going to be quarterbacking for them or what. But it doesn't matter who's playing. I already said, I don't care if we're playing them on the moon. I don't care who's playing. It doesn't matter. We showing up in the building. We have Lamar Jackson, the MVP, should have been MV3 in the building. We got Derrick Henry, the 2,000-yard rusher. We sat him down there in the end of the year. He would have got 2,000 yards. 2,000-yard rusher, a Hall of Famer. We have a defense that anybody in the league would die for. What else do we need? We got the receivers. We got D-Hop. We got Bateman, who performed almost at an all-pro level last year. And, of course, we got, my goodness, we got Zay, definitely a Pro Bowler. What else do we need down there at the stadium to get the job done at the bank, y'all? And I'm sorry I'm talking with so much passion today, but I was looking at the bank, and I'm telling y'all, man, I was walking past it every day going to the Oreo game, and it was a fire burning inside of me like no other. I cannot believe that we not holding up that trophy there. I'm telling y'all, it definitely sat in when I walked past the stadium the other day, that we exited the playoffs like that. Come on, y'all. Definitely this year got to be the year for the Ravens. All right, let's get into the NBA where, of course, nothing but action was going on. Sorry about ranting and raving, y'all, but they lit a fire here on the 410 last week down there at the stadium walking past M&T Bank and then going into Birdland and witnessing that. I'm telling you, the fire was burning here on the 410. All right, NBA, we picked 3 out of the 4 series right here on the 410. The only series that we didn't pick right was that Boston series. Of course, New York, they got off there against Boston, and everybody's like, oh, Tatum was hurt. I don't care if Tatum was hurt or not. They were still playing the same way with Tatum in there. Getting up by 20, losing the lead, all them three-point shots, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go on and on about the style of play and all that stuff there, but I knew that was not going to be sustainable in this playoffs here where they sitting there banging and beating you up half to death. You're not going to be able to sit there and shoot all them threes all day long. You had to get to that cup and put the referees on standby. I'm trying to tell you, that's the only way to get it done in this playoffs here. Now, of course, 3 out of the 4 were good. That was one of them that we picked wrong, and the rest of them were all good. We got OKC, the Thunder. They looked good last night against Denver. We got Minnesota, of course. They looked real good against Golden State without Steph Curry, of course, throughout most of that series. So, you know, they played an undermanned team there, but they still moved on. And then, of course, we got Indiana been sitting there waiting in the wings in the East. Seemed like they've been sitting over there for 2 weeks waiting for New York to finish the series. When did they finish that series with Cleveland? My goodness, they played a really, really good series against Cleveland, who all year, of course, they were shaky, and I didn't definitely see them moving too far in the playoffs. That's why we took Indiana in this one. But still, they were a great team. Indiana really smashed them on the back end of that thing. So I don't know, New York. I'm trying to tell you. I told the man, I said, man, I got to figure out who I'm picking these series here. And that Indiana-New York series is definitely one that's kind of up in the air. And, of course, OKC, Minnesota, it's going to be Ant going up against the young boys there. We're going to see how that goes. But I'm definitely feeling like Minnesota going to have a great shot to get the job done. They were there last year, you know, so, of course, that experience is going to help them. OKC, they learned how to win throughout that Denver series. Of course, Shea, he pretty much cemented that MVP conversation with that win there. Of course, I think they already selected the MVP. That's what they say. But I think they probably waited to see who was going to win in that matchup, to be honest with you, because, I mean, you could have split it either way. Jokic was good. SGA was good. I have no argument about either one of them. So, of course, nobody's playing tonight except for the Orioles. They're going up against the Brewers, like I said earlier. So, I might hold on to my picks here. I'm going to do a little bit more homework before I get down on these picks here, just to make sure that no other information comes out. But I'm leaning. I will tell you this. All right, I'll tell you this, though. I'm going to do a little homework on that. So, I'm going to do a little homework before I give you my final pick here on the 410 for who's going to play for it all in the finals. I'm definitely leaning towards, I'm not going to let you know yet. You got to stay tuned here. All right, of course, we got to get into last night's game with OKC. They ran away train on Denver there. It looked like Jokic was out of gas. Aaron Gordon, he wasn't 100%. They didn't have what it took. The Thunder, they were rocking in the house. I'm talking about rocking. That place was definitely one of the loudest places you're going to find on earth yesterday. They got the job done. They almost beat them by 40 yesterday. They left no doubt that they were trying to move on and get the job done here in the next round. Of course, they got to see Ant and them in the next round. We're still trying to figure out how that looks there. They do match up a little bit better than what Golden State does, obviously, with them. But I still got to look in to see kind of what I'm thinking there before I give you my final pick. Of course, over here in the East, we have Indiana, New York. They sitting there. New York did their business against Boston. Even though Tatum didn't play the last 2 games there, doesn't matter. I think they would have still got the job done against Boston with that 3-point shooting issue that they had. And then, of course, you have Indiana, who've been sitting back in the wings. They beat a great Cleveland team, and they're ready to go here against New York. Don't be surprised if they push New York over the edge, if not over the edge in this series. But like I said, I'm going to wait, hold on to my final picks. Definitely thank you for tuning in here on the 410. I gave them all I had down there at Camden Yards last week. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this. If you haven't already, like a few of these videos, share it with somebody. We're going to continue to grow here on the 410. For those of y'all who met me, my girl Emma, everybody else that was down there at the stadium, I love y'all for who you are. Continue to love the Orioles and love Baltimore. And of course, always have love for the 410 and your boy Adrian here. If you haven't already, check in with your family and friends and make sure they're doing okay. For those of y'all down there at the stadium that's holding on, hold on. You know the 410 got you. This is Adrian here on the 410.
To learn and get better, and we're going to do so, no matter what the outcome is.
Good luck the rest of the way. We'll see you on Tuesday.
You know who this is?
Who is this?
The MVP.
Yeah.